5 both ways. So after more discussion and then ultimately discussion with the county attorney's office, the recommendation was made to send it forward with no recommendation, essentially. So that's the basics behind that application. The second application is a piece of property located along Shelbyville Highway by Thomas Ogles, or Buddy Ogles as he goes by. This comes as a result of a zoning enforcement action on the property. The applicant purchased the property in August of 2014 and began operation of his electrical contracting business soon thereafter in November. Unfortunately, he never had any zoning approvals for this. There was a complaint made to our building codes and zoning enforcement staff, so they checked it out, and we met with the applicant and essentially told them at that point that his options, either he'd have to move his business to be compliant with the regulations, and so because it was zoned residential, or he could ask for rezoning of the property. So he's asked for rezoning of the portion of the property that he wants to use for his electrical contracting business. Hours of operation will be Monday through Friday, 6:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Occasional work on Saturdays. It does employ about 25 people and has 12 vehicles. Ultimately, there wasn't just a whole lot of discussion about this at the Planning Commission. There was some questions about the amount of area he was requesting for rezoning. Staff was of the opinion that the improvements that would be required to make these compatible with the area makes this more of a desirable rezoning, considering that there is some commercial zoning in that area, as well as directly across the street from a existing mini warehouse facility. So with that, they did, Planning Commission did recommend approval by a unanimous vote, and I'll be happy to answer any questions on either one of those zoning hearings.
Just remind us what can happen from here. If we all vote, we can vote for or against.
At the county commission, you mean, or at this particular meeting?
Particular meeting.
At this meeting, really all you're doing is accepting the report. Right. This is
pass it on to the full commission.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
And we've had to advertise these as public hearings, and we've done that. So they're on the docket for next week. But really, this is just kind of giving you just the information on what the rezoning cases entail.
Okay. Thank you.
So if you approve the report, you're not approving the rezoning tonight. I guess that's probably ultimately what your question is.
Anybody got any more questions?
On the one for Mr. Cook, how large a structure does he intend to be in our build? Do you have that information?
I believe it was about 11,000 square foot.
12,000.
Yes, sir. Yeah, about 11. Well, there's a copy of the plan, didn't print out very well. There should be a copy of the concept plan on your iPads. Let me find it here.
14,400 square. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Do you know what the neighbor's feelings is on this?
Well, the neighbor directly to the west is pretty opposed to it, is my understanding. The other neighbors, there were some. He did supply some letters that are in the file from some of the other surrounding property owners that didn't have much of an issue with it, so they approved or supported his request. However, there was one that was kind of circulated amongst the commission too, that those that were opposed to it, and there was one that had signed both petitions. One was opposed, and the one in favor. So, but I know the ones directly to the west, I know are definitely opposed to that.
The grandfather property to the east, if that business ceased to exist, would it go back to RS-15 or what would happen?
No, the zoning of the property is commercial services. So if that business were to cease operating, somebody could buy the property and use it based on what's allowed in the commercial
So the
services.
grandfather was just to allow them to
That
acquire the
business.
zoning after it got built or whatever.
Right. Well, what ended up happening, that property where the existing one is, it was zoned and had a conditional use permit for it, like I said, back in 2002. We didn't zone it industrial just because we weren't, at the time, we tried, when we did the new ordinance, we tried to pair the existing use with the zoning that most closely matched what would allow it.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, we just felt light industrial may not be the most prudent zone at that time. So we zoned it commercial services knowing it'd be grandfathered at that point, but they're still operating under their conditional use permit that was approved back in 2002. The reason they haven't asked for light industrial zoning now is because this type of use is considered a light industrial activity based on the zoning classification. So that's, you kind of had to ask for that.
Changed.
If it goes to the full commission,
16.
and if the commission denies, can the applicant resubmit under a PUD or something else, or?
That's a possibility. They could do that. I'd have to go back to the ordinance to make sure. It seems like if there's a time frame, if you're asking for the exact same thing with the exact same zoning, but if you're asking for it as a PUD, that may be acceptable. That would also have the ability to, more limit what use could be there on the property. That is a possibility.
Well, is county putting itself in a position you could be sued, but somebody that already got a cabinet shop, and then they're telling somebody else they can't put one in?
Well, at that point, you look at several things when you look at rezoning of property. One of them, of course, we look at our comprehensive plan. You look at the surrounding area. You look at the reasons that are given for the rezoning to be denied. Just because there is something there doesn't automatically mean any other zonings that come in have to be approved for that.
I can see if it's major, but a cabinet shop,
Doug, let me ask you, for my benefit and the rest of the committee, the request is for light industrial, and you mentioned at the beginning of your discussion that some of the commissioners of the planning were concerned about if the cabinet shop was there and then became something else later, that opens it up perhaps to, you mentioned undesirable business. Does the commercial services, would that help or hurt?
It can't be under commercial.
Well, if it was on commercial services, he couldn't do this type of business on the property.
So it's not that it falls under both, it falls under
Correct.
light industrial at this
Correct.
point.
Yeah.
Okay.
What it's classified as, light industrial activities are not permitted with commercial services. If they had been, we probably would have recommended you go with that.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Well, I move that we accept the report.
Motion made, second to accept the report. All in favor?
Aye. Also have a budget amendment. We actually both have one. On the iPads, I believe the planning and engineering ones, it's one file, but there's 2 pages to it. The one I'll go over is on the second page. Just real quick, this should just take really just a moment. We're just requesting that we shift a little bit of money from our data processing supplies up to our maintenance agreements line item. Our maintenance agreements line item is the one where we take care of our agreements for our copiers, large format scanners, and those kind of things. Every year there's generally an increase when it comes to these particular pieces of equipment for their agreements. However, we don't typically know what that increase is going to be until halfway through the fiscal year. They usually do it on a calendar year, so we're having to estimate during our budget year how much it's probably going to go up. This year we kind of missed it just by a little bit. So what we're asking for is just to shift the money over the $1,380. That should be enough to cover everything. And this is money just within our own budget. We're not asking for anything new. So we just need this money to go from our data processing supplies to our maintenance agreements to be able to cover those expenses for the rest of this fiscal year.
I'll make a motion to accept the budget amendment request.
Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor?
Need a roll call?
Call the roll. See.
Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Cush?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
Okay, and I have a budget amendment as well for stormwater, and it's to purchase a tablet for the project web coordinator that we're hiring, that we talked about last month. We thought we had money in the budget, this year's budget, to purchase the iPad. Apparently we didn't. We've come short on that, so we're going to transfer money out of the contracts with private agencies and put it in the data processing to purchase the iPad for the Project Wet Coordinator that we're putting on.
I'm having trouble finding that document. What's the cost?
It's,
What's the
uh,
cost?
I'll have the other one.
It's, yeah. It's $800, I think is the,
Okay.
we're moving from one item to the next.
This is a new tablet
Yes.
purchasing? Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So again, you're not asking for monies, you're just shifting monies?
Just shifting money, yes, sir.
I'd make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and second. Call the roll.
Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Kush?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for all the info, Doug. Thanks for all the
Oh,
info.
no, anytime soon.
Solid waste.
How are y'all this evening?
Good.
Fine.
As you can see on the landfill report, we've been a little bit more busy. The weather's straightened up just a little bit in March, but not much. But March is a longer month. So the landfill's been a little more active than it was. And our scale operator's finally returned back to work this week. We've missed her since the first of the year, so we're glad to have her back healthy and back at work. And starting this month, when we start our first and third Saturdays will be open April through October, with the exception of holiday weekend. Move on to the convenience center report. Or do you have any questions on landfill? Convenience centers have been busy this month, or the month of March. A lot of it's because of spring break. I don't know why, but when spring break and fall break hits, we get extremely busy. So we've been running extra drivers and a little overtime trying to keep caught up with it. But we have, for the most part. And so running pretty hard with that. Recycling has picked up. Our recycling numbers are running a little bit better. We did the annual progress report for TDEC and had to send that in last week, I guess, when it was. And I was just looking at some different numbers. Weekly Lane generated 20% of the recycle for Rutherford County solid waste. That's one convenience center alone.
And that's just residential dumping, there's no,
Right.
That's the bar.
you're right.
That's Smyrna.
Smyrna.
Marner.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's right.
That's been a big topic up here every month, so that's good news.
It is good.
Why do you think it happened?
At least the folks in Smyrna are listening.
Somebody's listening, yeah.
I think that you would have to live under a rock to not realize that Middle Point's going to close in 10 or 12 years. And I think a lot of people realize that, and some of them are slowly starting to change their habits, and at least that's what we hope is happening. Of course, the commodity market has gone down. The price of metal, cardboard, all that stuff has gone down, but we still have to haul it and get rid of it. Any questions on the convenience centers?
We see the recycling separated somewhere.
I do not send y'all a report, but I can. The way I track things is by the load. I track every load that comes out of every center, either recycled trash, compactor, open top, whatever. So this report that y'all see is just the trash stuff.
Is that the end of your report?
Mm-hmm.
I'll move that we accept the report as presented.
Second.
Call the roll. All in favor?
Aye.
And I have some budget amendments. There's 4 different budget amendments, but they're all out of the same budget and just moving money from one line item to another. Communications line item, we're going to be short, so we're moving some money from the maintenance and repair buildings to communications to finish out the year. Solid waste equipment, we're moving some money. That money would be to purchase new equipment into the line item that we use to repair equipment. And in contracts with private agency, we're taking some diesel fuel money since we're not running our own equipment, and and moving into the line item for the contract for private agency and taking some money from equipment parts. And then utilities at the landfill is gonna be short too, so we're taking a little money out of the fertilizer line item.
What's the big hit on communications? It's pretty significant.
It is, and we're always moving a little bit of money. Just about every year, we've missed the budget number just about every year since I've been here on communications. We've been close. That's probably more than enough money to cover it, but I didn't want to have to come to another budget amendment on the same line item.
Any new equipment in there, or
No,
radios, towers?
This is all service, I think.
This is all telephone type service.
Okay.
I did, right?
Yes, sir, on the budget amendments.
I'll move that we approve the budget amendment.
Second.
Okay, call roll.
Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Kush?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
And next, we have a resolution to authorize submission for the application of the litter grant, something we do each year. Got the email today, the litter grant's gonna be the same that it was last year, $95,100. That's the money that we use for the education and to pick up county roads.
Anybody got any questions about it?
It's on
You had it budgeted, I mean, you anticipated it coming in?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah, we budget that as revenue.
okay. And it's, starts fiscal year, it's for,
Be before next budget year, yes. This is through TDOT.
they got any more money we could?
We actually get two grant, this is actually a grant, the other one is actually a contract, and it's for the state roads, and it's like $34,000 a year.
I have a question.
Okay.
Is that your last budget request item? Or
Yes,
is there
sir.
another one? Okay. Mac, I'm looking, I went back 5 minutes. I'm on page 2 of 2, Rutherford County Solid Waste Cumulative Report, truckloads.
Page 2 of 2.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just a small chart. Does this tell me, and all the listening audience, that for the month of March, there were 2,720 truckloads of waste sent to the landfill?
That's tons.
Okay, I saw truck totals,
Mhm.
and I thought maybe that was total number of truck trips. Okay, so 2,800, almost 2,800 tons.
To kind of get toward your answer, but not actually answer your
Yeah.
question, last week I sent a letter to Jim Tracy
Yeah.
for him to send on to TDOT, and it was for the Jefferson Pike expansion that they're doing. Basically asking to expand that from 840 on to almost to Mona Road, right there at the curve, to take out the humps. So to give them a little better information, we hauled 147 of 265 loads in 1 week across that section of road. So 265 loads that 1 week is what we hauled.
It's a lot of trash.
We started Monday morning with 106 loads on the ground.
Wow. Yeah, I say that because I would love the audience to comprehend what kind of a pile of trash that really is. Thank you.
The county with a lot of population.
And growing.
Growing every day.
That is right.
Yes, sir.
Mac, did we need to get permission to apply for that grant officially?
Yes,
Do
we
we?
need a motion.
Okay.
We didn't get a motion on that.
Okay.
That's all I wanted.
I would gladly make that motion to approve the
Apply for
Grant-
grant and
grant
and be
application.
able to accept it if it's awarded.
what he said.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any other questions? thing that
When's the number 2 compactor coming into Hanover?
we've been waiting. The electricians went out there just this week, and we're getting ready to do the service. Middle Tennessee Electric came to disconnect the service where they could work on it, and decided the utility pole needs to be changed first. So now we're going to wait on Middle Tennessee Electric to put in a new pole, then we can put on a new service. So hopefully, if everything goes right, in about 3 weeks, we'll have the power, the machine, the equipment's already here. And our installer says he can get to it pretty quickly.
So by 1st of July?
No, hopefully it'll be by the middle of next month, maybe. I was going to say the end of this month. I'm not sure we'll make that.
Thank you.
And with our electronics collection, I ran some numbers on that. We've spent roughly $70,000 to get rid of televisions, computer monitors this year. We charge businesses and people that have a lot of stuff that comes in. We've collected roughly $8,000. What I'm going to request is sometime in the very near future, not tomorrow, that we start charging everybody for every television and every computer monitor. By doing what we're doing creates a huge problem for the employees down there, to where somebody comes in, well, I thought I could get this for free. I don't want to do it that way. It's just, we need to set it up to where everybody pays. And that would be probably our first step in a pay-as-you-throw type system for everything across the county in the future. But I think we need to start that at the minimum July 1st. I'd like to start before that, but.
So you're gonna take away the 2 freebies?
Yeah.
Completely? I had a guy call me this week who was very confused about the information on the website, so that ought to clear that up pretty good.
It would.
And how would that take place? You would present it to this committee or full commission?
It's an operational issue. I'm not sure we have to actually go through the commission to do it, but we want the commission's blessings.
We just want to make a note of this, and she can reflect it in the minutes.
Okay.
So you'll know why the people's calling you at home.
Yeah, don't call here.
So we need to put all y'all's numbers on the website? Okay.
Awesome. You'll wake up with a yard of TVs one morning.
I've already been to that. You're trying to burn them.
This is $70,000 and the year is not over. We're $100,000 a year more of having to pay somebody to haul that off. And we don't have a revenue stream to handle that, period.
Is there just nowhere to go with it? Nobody wants it? Nothing?
When we put out the bid, we only had one bidder for it. Rutherford County generates a higher volume percentage-wise of televisions than any other county, and I don't know why. There's certain regions do things a little bit more differently. You get a landfill person that's been in landfills all over the country, and he comes to Middle Point, it's like, where in the world is all these mattresses coming from? That's one thing that'll stand out to a landfill person, is just we throw away more mattresses than anybody else. But we run about 70% of that tractor trailer load is going to be televisions.
And what do the people do with it that take it?
They'll take them and literally dismantle them completely and get all the recycled materials out, and then let it last they have to landfill. And that's where the cost is.
Back where is that location? They're coming from where to get this? Out of state somewhere?
Our provider has an office in Nashville, so that's where our loads actually go to, and then they'll repackage them and they'll send them to Wisconsin. That's where the company's actually out of. And there's not a whole lot of recycle electronics companies that's actually doing it correctly and keeping account of the downstream accountability. I was glad this one bid on it because they do meet all the criteria. That's something that we really don't want to get involved with, doing the wrong thing. Right after the bids were awarded, I got a call from a county south of here. Said, "Oh, we'll take them all for free. We might even pay you for them if you got that many." They were burning them. They were smeltering the lead out of them. I thought, I'm not getting it. That's not legal.
Yeah.
So we didn't want any part of that. So it does cost us a little money, a little extra money to do the right thing, but it's the right thing to do.
So when we go to that pay per unit, that's not really to make money. That's just to cover the money we're hemorrhaging from paying somebody else to come take them.
The charge is 25 cents a pound, and it's broken down into $5 increments. So 20 pounds costs you $5. If it's 21 pounds, it costs you 10. We break it down that way. It's easy math. We don't have to keep up a lot of change that way. And all it is covering our cost. The cost of that disposal. It doesn't help cover the cost of the labor, running the facility, anything else. It's just that disposal cost.
You're just gonna do this at one site,
Electronics is only collected at Taylor Road, yes.
where you have to hire an extra person to do this?
No, we already have one full-time employee, and then we've got some part-time college boys that actually handle the grunt work. So we shouldn't need any additional people. The only thing we may do additionally is, right now we're set up to where we only accept cash or check. We don't do any cards, debits, or credits. And I'd really rather not do that. May have to go that route.
Gotta have a card in their check. Safe,
Yeah, I
can't
guess
be
so.
stolen, can't be lost,
Well, that's true.
electronic, gone.
But you gotta get somebody that's, you can make sure the chart gets entered correctly and not a mistake, and there's some chances of mistakes there. I would think. I've never used one.
Head back.
I think so. Any other questions?
No, I'm gonna let you go.
Okay.
Thanks, back.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Okay, highway department.
Evening, Commissioners. I'm going to look at the drainage easement. I actually have two documents here. I printed off an additional one so you guys can get a picture and aerial photo. But it's the one with the letterhead, County of Rutherford Highway Department, and the other one that says drainage easement at the top. And you know, flip over to the actual image, you can see what we're actually trying to do here. And this is located off of Lee Road, and in moderate rainfall, water is overtopping Lee Road and flowing towards the address there, 4912 there on Lee. So we are going to, in conjunction with the Highway Department, put in a culvert underneath the road, but that needs to have an avenue to get to the back of the property. So Public Works is going to come in and do the ditch work to get the property, to get the water to the back of the property. And then also there's a temporary access easement on the back so that our workers can park there on Jordan and get the equipment over to the actual easement. Once construction is done, the access easement, the temporary access easement will be dissolved. So that is what I'm bringing before you gentlemen tonight.
I'll move that we approve the request.
Second.
Anybody got any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Jim.
I'm going to ask Miss Mary Hickerson to join us now. We're going to present our budget.
Budget.
See closer, I might need a question to ask myself. Okay, to start off with, does anybody have any questions just right off the top, or before I kind of dig into this thing a little bit? Why is capital outlay so different from last year?
That reflects our state aid road account.
What happens when we do a state aid road project is we ask for a budget amendment, and then
Depending on what the state does, then we'll ask for amendment later on in the year.
well, we'll ask for a budget amendment to cover the check until the state reimburses us their percentage of the project. So that does fluctuate quite a lot because of that. All right, some of you may have noticed that this budget that I'm presenting to you tonight, or we're presenting to you tonight, is a balanced budget. And historically, the highway department has operated under the kind of like you would your home budget. You know, we have a projected amount of revenue to work with, and we try to see to it that we do not exceed that revenue during the year. However, in the past, we have asked for a little more than we know we're going to get. We don't ever spend more than we think we're going to have coming in, and usually because of the way our money comes in, it's relatively, the projection is relatively close to the actual on our revenue. So we have gone through and made several adjustments and have been able to balance this budget. And one of the larger cuts that we made was to our equipment line item. Which one is that, Mary? Is that?
It's the very last page, the $68,714 highway equipment.
So if you look at page 5 of 5, you'll see that we've taken that from $259,000 down to $50,000, and that's the line that we would, keep our equipment updated. Purchase new bush hog tractors or paving equipment or dump trucks or pickups. That just any equipment that we need. And the reason that we are comfortable with doing that is because, as you know, our money that's left from our revenue that we don't spend goes into our fund ending balance. And our fund ending balance has, accumulated into an amount we're comfortable with, because our revenue stream comes in kind of evenly during the 12-month period because of our collections, our gas tax or wheel tax, that kind of mineral severance tax. And our year starts July the 1st. Well, our expenditures during the first part of our fiscal year are outrunning our revenue. So we have to operate out of that fund ending balance until our revenue catches our expenditures. Because as you can imagine, the highway department, middle of the summer, July the 1st, that's when we're really spending a lot of money. That's when we're doing a lot of work. The weather's good, the days are long. So that's when we're spending a lot of money. So we're operating out of that fund balance until our revenue catches our expenditures, which is usually midwinter. And so we feel like our fund balance needs to be maintained where it's at. And where I'm going with all this is back to being able to cut that equipment line item. What I'm proposing to do is maintain the fund balance where it's at, but come August, September of every year, when we see what's left over from our revenue compared to our expenditure, use that money, come in and do a budget amendment if we need new equipment. If we need to spend money, we'll spend it out of what we've saved, if you will, during that year. And sometimes it might take a couple of years to be able to save enough to actually purchase the equipment we need. We are in relatively good shape relative to some other counties as far as our equipment, our current equipment status, and it's in pretty good shape, and we have pretty much what we need, but we do have to maintain what we have, and we do have to replace you know, as it ages out, we will have to replace equipment, but we're pretty comfortable where we're at. We've got some dump trucks that we're soon gonna have to upgrade. So that is how I would like to look at purchasing new equipment, as well as giving employee raises moving forward through the savings between the revenue and expenditures. And that's the main thing that I wanted to point out. And if you have anything, you know, if you'd like to go through this thing kind of line by line on the ones that we had increases or decreases, I'll be happy to do that and explain why that increase or decrease has happened. And so if you want to take a second and look it over, or
Just one broad, high-level question. Your source of funding is solely the 3 revenue streams you mentioned a moment ago?
no, we have.
How much is the county?
Let's see here.
We got all site work.
You got page 1 of his, there is,
The summary?
gives a whole list of all of the revenue sources.
Okay.
Highway Department budget summary, is it in that one?
Highway Department report.
You get off
Budget
side
revenue
off
expenses.
of right of ways, cause
See, we have Highway Department and we have Public Works. It's all under the same umbrella. However, the revenue kind of comes from a different place. We get a portion to fund Public Works. We get a portion of the property tax revenue, a small portion of the property tax revenue. I think it's 0.014%, I believe.
Just a little over 1 penny. Okay.
A little over 1 penny.
Current property tax is $780,000, so that's just a tiny bit over a penny.
Okay.
And that goes to fund Public Works.
that helps the county a whole lot right there. That's when
So you can see, Mr. Dodd, you can see that, are you on the
I'm
revenue?
there. I see the
Okay, you
property
see it,
tax.
you can see on.
Wheel tax is big and so
Mhm.
forth.
Mhm. Our
I see
gasoline and
that.
motor fuel tax, 46,920. That's, you know, that's a large portion of it right there. That's $3.5 million worth right there. And then the wheel tax. Is another significant, you know, amount.
If you look at our expenditure, you were talking about the public works, the property tax on the revenue. If you look at our expenditure packet that we give you, page 4, which is our 65,000 other charges, that list of items is what we consider our public works department. So anything that the property tax money on the revenue, 40,110, I watch it to pay this expenditure part of the expenditure report. The 65,000 account is public works, money only, and spent money only out of this. And the rest of our budget, the packet you have, is oversaw by the rest of the revenue.
Okay.
Mr. Ernest wants
I just want to make a couple of general comments, and some of you are new to this process. The highway department is like our school board. By state statute, they have to spend at least the same amount of money this year as they spent last year, or with some average. Ms. Hickerson can clarify this a bit, I think, if we need to. But they don't have any choice. They can't cut expenses. They have to maintain at least the same expense level they've averaged over the last 5 years, I believe it is, or whatever. So that's just point one you need to know. And they are sort of like the school board. You guys may or may not like every one of these line items, but you really can't change them. You can't suggest even changing them, because they operate independent of our other departments and other offices, the highway department. I just wanted to make that clarification. Did I say all that right, Ms. Hickerson?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Brooks?
Yes.
Okay.
But if you go back and look on the history, the highway department's more or less always stayed under their budget. You ain't had to worry about it.
And if you look
Come
at,
on back to Mr. Williams now.
That's correct.
if you look at their expenses, they've budgeted for next year. They're just slightly more than their expenses they have in the budget for this year.
Well, I'll move that we forward the budget on to the budget committee with a positive recommendation.
I'll second that.
You can do it either way.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Y'all coming up and explaining.
I've got a question for Mr. Brooks, if you've got a minute.
I do.
On the county school, where it has a state highway out in front of it,
Mhm.
the entrance to the school,
Mm-hmm.
where the highway's here, comes out, who's responsible for maintaining that smoothness of the pavement and the entrance of the school?
Well, if it's in the state right of way, then it's the state's responsibility.
State's responsible.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Specifically, is there something you'd like me to look at?
Las Casas Elementary,
Okay. I'd have to take a look at it and then
very
maybe
rough,
make a phone call or,
very rough.
Yeah, I think we had a call on the phone on that.
have we?
That's in the right of way too.
I guess
Yeah.
for most down the state road, come out there.
I'll take a look at it and
Thank you, I
call
appreciate
the
it.
appropriate people.
Thank y'all.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.
Not that I'm aware of.
No other business, we'll go. They've been pretty good for a state, have about